Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving deep, using our sources to look at the career of, really, a true veteran of American comedy. This is a guy whose journey is, well, it's fascinatingly contradictory. He spent decades honing this sort of chaotic, observational style, fueled by pure rant energy.
Right.
Yet, at the same time, he built this quiet, consistently successful acting career in Hollywood.
Yeah.
We're talking about Jimmy Shubert.
Yeah, and when you dig into Schubert's career, you're looking at more than just a stand-up. You're really tracing the path of a performer who figured out pretty early, I think, that stage discipline, the kind he got from drama and even magic, could be channeled into comedy's most, let's say, aggressive formats.
Okay.
So our mission here isn't just listing credits. It's about showing you how that foundational training helped make him this recognized outlaw of comedy while also making him reliable enough for network TV.
And those initial highlights, that's exactly where the contradiction pops up, isn't it? I mean, the big aha moment about Shubert has to be that defining professional relationship.
Yeah.
He's really known for being a key part of Sam Kinison's touring group, the Outlaws of Comedy.
Absolutely.
That connection alone tells you he operates at a pretty high level of intensity.
It definitely does. But the really surprising bit, the foundational detail that kind of shaped his early comedic DNA, it was his living situation.
Oh, right.
Shubert was part of that legendary high-pressure comedy house, the property owned by the Comedy Store's Mitzi Shore.
The comedy frat house.
Exactly. An environment of just intense, constant competition.
And the roommates, I mean, the people he lived with in that house weren't just going to be stars. They were, like, changing the game.
Yeah?
We're talking Sam Kinison, Andrew Dice Clay, and interestingly, the very introspective Mark Maron. That house must have been a pressure cooker, just designed to force out genius or maybe madness.
Oh, it absolutely was.
Yeah.
And yet, this veteran comic, he isn't just some relic of that aggressive 80s thing.
Yeah.
His relevance is actually remarkably current.
Yeah, that's the thing.
His 2020 album, Zero Tolerance, it hit #1 on the iTunes comedy chart.
Incredible.
Decades into his career, that sort of caustic humor is still hitting hard enough to top the charts.
It really is a spectacular achievement. It proves his brand of, rage against the everyday machine is still evergreen. But to really get the controlled chaos of the Rant King, we have to go back to where the control started. Back east, exactly. Philadelphia, where performance meant precision, maybe not just volume. So our journey starts in Philadelphia. James Francis Shubert, that's where he was born. And his early life, right away, it's defined by this really powerful family contrast. It probably instilled both a sense of maybe cynical awareness and necessary patience.
Yeah, the sources show this fascinating duality in how he grew up. His father, he was a city homicide detective.
Right.
Now, that's a job that demands, extreme observation skills, a sharp, often pretty cynical view of people, and incredible discipline. But then his mother worked in special education, a job needing immense patience, adaptability, empathy.
Total opposites in some ways.
Pretty much. And growing up with 5 brothers in that kind of environment, he was just immersed in this robust, competitive, and I imagine highly observed world.
And yet he didn't go down the path of law enforcement or education. He leaned hard into performing arts. Attended Archbishop Ryan High School and then the Philadelphia High School for Creative and Performing Arts. He focused intensely on drama.
And that drama training, it's not just a side note. It feels central, like a pillar for his whole career later on.
Absolutely.
It taught him voice projection, stage command, character work, all that stuff.
And it wasn't just the drama, right? Before the jokes, there were illusions.
Yeah. By 15, he was already working professionally as a magician.
Think about that for a second. What does that actually entail?
Well, magic is, it's a highly disciplined art. It demands a meticulous timing, absolute control on stage, and the ability to command an audience's attention and misdirect it.
Yeah.
These are the building blocks for stand-up, especially the kind of high-stakes, aggressive style he ended up adopting.
That link between magic and aggressive comedy is really interesting to me. He had to make sure his delivery was lucid, confident. Otherwise, the trick or the joke later just falls flat.
Exactly.
And that professional grounding seems to have pushed him forward pretty quickly. By 18, he pivots, moves from Philly stages straight out to California.
And this is where the real, the hustle starts. He gets to L.A., needs to dive in. So he lands that classic entry-level job for any ambitious comic, working the door at the Comedy Store.
The iconic Comedy Store.
Yeah, it's not just a gig, right? It's like essential education.
Yes.
She's watching hundreds of sets, seeing what bombs, what kills, absorbing that unique, often pretty cutthroat L.A. vibe.
But the real education maybe wasn't at the door. It was at home.
Yeah.
We absolutely have to dig into the Mitzi Shore house connection. Mitzi Shore, owner of the Comedy Store, she had this house where she let young, often volatile but promising comics live.
Basically created a comedy lab.
Yeah.
It was known as the ultimate comedy frat house.
Yeah.
It was a crucible, really, a place of intense competition.
Right.
To understand Shubert, you really have to understand the dynamic created by his roommates.
Okay, let's list them again.
Andrew Dice Clay, the pioneer of aggressive leather jacket shop comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Kinison,
Yeah.
the screaming, charismatic preacher of pain.
Yeah.
And then Mark Maron, who was already kind of developing that neurotic, self-aware, introspective voice.
What strikes you about that specific group? I mean, they're all extremes in their own way. How did, the quiet observationalist find his voice in that chaos?
Well, it forced him to carve out a very specific niche. It had to. That house dynamic meant just being funny wasn't enough. He had to be unique and loud enough, frankly, to be heard over these giants.
Right.
Dice Clay had his persona and material. Kinison had the volume, the theatrical outrage. Maron had the intellectual struggle. Shubert, it seems, was forced to kind of synthesize the stage confidence he learned from drama and magic with the aggressive attitude he needed just to survive Kinison's orbit, let alone compete.
So he didn't try to, outshock Dice or outscream Sam.
Yeah.
He chose this path of the modern-day Archie bunker, using that aggression, but aiming it at really mundane, everyday frustrations.
Exactly.
That seems like a direct result of finding his own lane in that pressure cooker.
Precisely. He figured out he could use that high-energy, confident stage presence, the magic and drama training, to sell an ordinary complaint. Make the rage relatable, not just purely provocative.
Okay.
But before he nailed down that signature voice, he was working on the architecture, the joke structure itself.
Which brings us to his time ghostwriting early on, selling jokes to established comics.
Yeah.
That shows he was mastering the sort of business side of joke construction, too.
Oh, it's a crucial step for almost any comedian who gets that kind of longevity. He understood commercial joke delivery, how to tailor material to specific personas.
And the names are significant.
Very. We know he wrote for Yakov Smirnoff, who was all about clean cultural observation.
Right, what a country guy.
Yeah. And Jimmy Walker,
Yeah.
in Good Times, Dynamite,
Okay.
and Louis Anderson. Universally loved family-friendly material.
So here's maybe the intellectual fiction point for me. If he was good enough to write clean, observational stuff for Louis Anderson, how genuine was the raw Archie bunker aggression he developed later? Was the rage just an act? Or did the ghostwriting teach him the sheer flexibility needed for professional comedy?
That's a great question. I think that ghostwriting taught him flexibility, definitely. But it also confirmed the financial viability of structure.
Okay.
It proved he could build a joke start to finish for any voice. So when he chose the Kinison path, he wasn't choosing chaos randomly. He was choosing to apply his discipline structure.
Learn from magic and ghostwriting.
Exactly, applying that structure to the delivery of aggression.
Learn from his roommates.
Right. It let him choose precisely where and how he wanted to be abrasive. The fact that he could write clean shows that his caustic take on the world later on. It's a conscious, very effective character choice, delivered with the control of someone who totally gets the mechanics of humor.
Okay, so that ghostwriting period, it sort of sets him up for the leap. And that leap came directly through Sam Kinison. This partnership, starting around '84, it feels like the single most defining element in shaping his stage persona.
And the origin story is just pure rock and roll chaos, which is exactly the vibe Kinison was cultivating, right?
Totally.
The friendship kicked off, the sources say, when Shubert took a dare to drive his motorcycle directly onto the stage during one of Kinison's sets.
Wow.
And this wasn't like a planned bit. It was pure, spontaneous, comedic initiation. It showed Shubert was willing to embrace the spectacle, the recklessness that defined the Kinison brand.
That one moment, driving a motorcycle on stage, it instantly cemented him in Kinison's inner circle.
Seems like it.
And the consequence of that dare was huge.
Yeah.
Shubert becomes a core part of Kinison's touring group, the Outlaws of Comedy.
Yeah.
And he opens for Kinison for 5 solid years, right up until Kinison's tragic death in '92.
5 years on the road with Kinison. That's basically a PhD in comedy stage survival.
Right.
Kinison's audiences were notoriously loud, volatile, demanding.
Yeah.
To open for him, Shubert needed material that grabbed a rowdy crowd instantly and kept that aggressive energy up. But without just copying Kinison's screaming style.
He had to find his own flavor of intense.
Exactly. This was the forge. This is where Shubert defined his own distinct aggressive persona. He learned how to command huge rooms and chaos, using that drama training for maximum impact.
So let's break down that persona. How do the critics and sources describe the style that came out of those years of, road-tested, high-octane comedy?
They often define it as old-school observational comedy, but delivered with the outlook of a modern-day Archie Bunker.
That phrase is key, I think, for you listening. It means he's not really doing political stuff with surrealism. He's focused on the small things that genuinely tick people off.
Yeah.
The everyday annoyances that make you want to scream.
And the examples cited in the sources are perfect illustrations of this brand of rage.
Yeah.
The frustrating, overly complex experience of ordering at Starbucks.
Oh, yeah. Been there.
And the dehumanizing hassles of airport security.
Universally relatable annoyance.
Exactly, combined with that aggressive, caustic delivery.
And critics definitely noticed this mastery. Richard Lanois, a reviewer, called Shubert an aggressive, not overly blue comic who has a caustic take on the world.
That not overly blue part is important, I think.
Yeah.
Because Kinison was famously shocking, often very blue.
Right.
Shubert, while still aggressive, managed to carve out a slightly cleaner path, focusing the aggression more on the topic than just pure vulgarity.
And Lanois went even further. He specifically called Shubert the very best at rant comedy. That title, Rant King, that's hard-earned. It confirms that his style, developed in the chaos of the Outlaws tour, became this specialized, celebrated art form.
And this dedication to his stage material, it translated directly into success with comedy albums. He found an early supportive home with stand-up records.
Yeah, his relationship with that label feels really strategic. He was one of their foundational artists right alongside other powerhouses who specialized in smart, aggressive humor.
Like Louis Black.
Louis Black, Doug Stanhope.
Right. Being one of the first comics signed to stand-up, records meant aligning himself with a brand that prioritized the album format and focused on intelligent, often critical humor.
Which is significant because back in the early 2000s, a lot of comics were maybe focusing just on TV spots or short clips.
Exactly. Stand-up. Records focused on the long-form album.
Mm-hmm.
That's where Schubert's consistent, sustained Archie Bunker character could really breathe over an hour.
Okay.
And over his career, they put out 4 of his big albums. Animal Instincts in 2001, Pandemonium in 2005, Alive and Kickin' in 2009, and then the capstone, Zero Tolerance, in 2020.
Let's definitely talk about that 2020 success. Zero Tolerance hitting #1 on the iTunes comedy chart. That's a massive validation.
Huge.
In today's, highly fragmented, often viral-driven media world, it proves that his old school, consistent, aggressive voice still cuts through.
It's proof there's still a huge appetite for observational rage, especially when it's delivered by a reliable, controlled professional.
Right.
And that brings us back to the critics. Jason Birchmeier from AllMusic reviewed his work, and he said that Schubert's confidence and lucid delivery enhances his humor, making even his most perverse moments hilarious.
That's the essential link right there.
Yeah.
Confidence and lucid delivery. That's the direct evidence of the drama and magic training we talked about.
Exactly. You need lucid delivery for a magic trick. You need confidence for drama.
So when you apply those discipline skills to aggressive rant comedy, you get controlled chaos.
He's not just some angry guy shouting randomly. He is performing an aggressive character, a highly polished one, with total confidence. That stage work he learned back in Philly ensures that even when the material gets caustic or perverse, like Birchmeier said, the audience trusts him. They trust the comedian is completely in control. And that lets them lean into the outrage and laugh. The training paid off long after he swapped his drama books for a microphone.
Okay, so what often gets a bit overlooked, I think, in the discussion about Schubert's career, because, the Outlaw of Comedy story and the Motorcycle Dare are just so dramatic.
Right, they're great stories.
Is the incredibly consistent, decades-long acting resume he maintained at the same time. He really strategically leveraged that stage confidence into a reliable career as a character actor.
It's a fascinating strategic play. He didn't let himself get stuck in just one box. His visibility definitely spiked in the mid-2010s, particularly on reality TV, which kind of introduced his voice to a newer, broader audience.
Yeah, he was a finalist on NBC's Last Comic Standing in 2014. That put his signature style right out there for network audiences.
Big platform.
And he also kept his modern comedy cred sharp on cable. He was a regular face on Comedy Central, did Comedy Central Presents, appeared on Comedy Underground with Dave Attell.
Right.
Those appearances made sure his specific high-energy rant style was widely seen, kept his touring base strong while he was also pursuing these character roles.
And his acting resume, it really proves he never treated acting like just a side hustle.
No.
He's consistently credited as both a stand-up comedian and an actor. That shows a genuine dual commitment.
Let's look at the TV roles first, especially the recurring ones where he actually had time to, develop a character a bit.
Okay, the major recurring ones are notable for how long they ran and the audience size. He was on that huge syndicated hit, The King of Queens,
Right.
for 10 episodes between 2001 and 2006.
And think about the character he played there. Usually the cynical neighbor, the sarcastic working class guy.
It's the direct, kind of sanitized version of his stage persona, right?
Exactly. Hollywood often hires comics to play versions of their stage act, and his modern-day Archie Bunker fit perfectly into that sitcom world.
He also had a significant run, 4 episodes, on Entourage between 2007 and 2009.
Oh, right.
Which is a show known for using edgy, established comics in supporting roles to add that cynical realism to its Hollywood satire.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And even earlier, he popped up on the super disciplined medical drama ER for 2 episodes way back in 98-99.
That range right there, from blue-collar queens to glossy Entourage to the intense pressure of ER, it shows his adaptability. That early drama training in Philly really gave him the chops to step into different worlds, not just play slightly different characters.
Now let's pivot to the feature films, because this list is incredibly varied too. What does it tell us that the industry hired the Rant King for major blockbusters and psychological thrillers?
It tells us they saw reliability and a strong, recognizable presence. Think about the variety. He was in the 2005 blockbuster Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Big movie.
The cool heist film The Italian Job in 2003. The classic indie Go Back in 99. The really chilling psychological thriller 1 Hour Photo with Robin Williams in 2002.
Oh yeah, creepy one.
And even the early 2000s Staple Coyote Ugly in 2000.
This depth of work, it confirms that the guy who spent 5 years riding motorcycles onto stages for Sam Kinison was disciplined enough to hit his marks on multi-million-dollar studio sets. That takes structure, punctuality, the ability to turn the stage aggression off when the director yells, action.
It's the ultimate contrast, really. Raw club energy versus the organized machine of Hollywood.
Totally.
And he didn't stop when those recurring roles ended. He kept getting consistent guest spots, showing he still had value as a character actor.
Yeah, shows like Angel in 99, Reno 9/11 in 2005.
I love Reno 9/11.
Point 2 Broke Girls in 2011.
And here's a great full circle moment. He even showed up back in his old housemates world, appearing on Marin in 2016.
Oh, right.
The ability to work seamlessly across genres, across decades. It showcases that his strength isn't just the stand-up. It's that foundational commitment to being a skilled, professional actor.
Most recently, he was in American Nightmares in 2018.
That consistent success in character roles, it really loops back to what we said early on. He might be known for the caustic stage presence, but Hollywood saw an actor who could be flexible and grounded in supporting parts.
He successfully took the high energy and confidence from the stand-up stage and translated it into the reliability needed on a TV or film set. It's really the ultimate example of a performer strategically diversifying, not just relying on one artistic stream.
And finally, we should definitely mention his adaptability to the more modern media landscape, too. On top of all the stage and screen stuff, Shubert found time to host his own audio project.
Yeah, he jumped into the podcast space relatively early, actually. Hosted the Jimmy Shubert Show. The Sources Show, he was active with that for about 2 years. Put out 51 half-hour episodes between 2013 and 2015.
That shows a clear willingness to, keep talking directly to his audience, adapt to new platforms, making sure his voice stayed accessible and current, even while juggling the acting career. It's just another layer of that continuous, decades-long hustle.
The man really did build a career on these parallel tracks, didn't he?
Yeah.
Feeding the controlled aggression from the stage back into his cinematic discipline, and maybe vice versa. #tag outro.
So let's try and wrap this up, synthesize this decades-long path. You start with James Francis Shubert back in Philly, studying drama, doing professional, highly disciplined magic.
Right.
He moves to LA, dives into the deep end, living with giants like Kinison and Dice Clay,
Yeah.
Learns the architecture of humor, ghostwriting jokes.
Then comes that seismic, chaotic moment.
Yeah.
Befriending Kinison with the motorcycle dare.
Yeah.
Spends 5 intense years on the road with the Outlaws of Comedy, really forging that aggressive rant comedy style. This is where he becomes the modern-day Archie Bunker, targeting everyday annoyances with total theatrical command.
And he leverages that caustic, confident stage presence into 4 major comedy albums with stand-up records, culminating in that 2020 release, Zero Tolerance.
Which hits #1.
Hits #1 on the iTunes comedy charts, validating his sustained relevance. Proving controlled rage, maybe, never goes out of style.
And at the same time, he uses that early drama training, that stage confidence, to lock down a remarkably consistent acting career, appearing in huge network shows like The King of Queens, Entourage, and big feature films like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, The Italian Job.
So the core lesson here for you, the listener, seems to be about how that early, intense networking, that time in the Mitzi Shore house on the road with Kinison, it didn't just launch a career.
Yeah.
It defined a method, really, a methodology that enabled sustained success across comedy, acting, even podcasting.
It's kind of proof that who you surround yourself with when you're starting out really can determine the direction, maybe even the ultimate ceiling of your professional journey.
Right. You learn the boundaries by watching people who just smash right through them.
And that leads us perfectly into our final provocative thought for you to chew on. Connecting back to his very earliest days.
Okay.
Think really deeply about that contrast between the highly disciplined art of a professional magician needing planning, structure, lucid delivery, and the raw, aggressive nature of his rant comedy.
How much of that stage persona is genuinely felt outrage? And how much is just the incredibly successful application of stagecraft he learned as a 15-year-old doing illusions?
That control, maybe that's precisely what makes him the master of caustic humor.
Hmm.
He delivers the explosive material, but he never seems to lose his footing. The magician always knows the trick.
And Shubert, the rant king, always knows the joke.
Exactly.
That's a wrap on this deep dive into the uncompromising career of Jimmy Shubert. We'll see you next time.